Arsenal season is over. Sack Mikel Arteta. He's not the man. These players are overrated. Pack up and finish. The season is over. That is the rhetoric being spewed depending on what Arsenal fan you speak to. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying you can't be as positive as you want or as negative as you want. I'm a champion of free speech. Everyone is allowed to interpret things as they want. What I do know is I miss the old Arsenal. I miss what we've been up until we got into December. I miss what our club historically used to be. And in terms of on the football pitch, the synergy and all of these things and buzzwords that Mikel Arteta uses and refers to, I miss what Arsenal Football Club used to be. And it needs to return sooner rather than later. Our season may very well be finished. We might look back in December and say that's where it's won or lost. But reality is we're in January. The season ends in May. We can have our opinions. We can be as negative or as positive as we want. But like life, football goes on. What we do with that is down to us. So let me speak about 1-2 thoughts.
At the time of making this vid, Arsenal sit fourth with 12 wins, 4 draws and 4 L's. Again, December / the opening period of January has not been kind to us, as you lot know. Mikel Arteta talks a lot about synergy, which is the combined power of a group of things when they are working together that is greater than the total power achieved by each working separately. Teamwork at its best results in synergy that can be very productive. I want that to apply to our football club. Mikel Arteta has a lot to figure out. At the end of the day, pressure is a privilege. Managing this football club is a privilege. And, you know, if you're talked up as the next guy, you've got to face the music. I take you back a few weeks ago where he more or less said that what our attacking players achieved last season was a fluke. We all know the young players overexceeded. But if we're trying to win a league title, does that make sense? Have you found a plan B? You know, Gabriel Martinelli looks like the Brazilian Hudson-Odoi. Star boy Bukayo Saka is unrecognizable. I don't know this new Saka. I'm seeing blonde hair. I'm seeing inconsistencies in the final third. That is not my star boy. Form is temporary, class is permanent. But Saka is looking brazy, much like all of our attackers. Gabriel Jesus, Richarlison has more Premier League goals than you know. And better yet, the whole of the Arsenal team. What's going on there? We can diss Richarlison, but he's doing his thing. What are we doing? It don't make sense, people. As I said, pressure is a privilege. It only comes to those who earn it. Everybody earned their spot in this team. Again, success at this football club is compulsory. Life interesting is that we try to transform it to something that is close to art every single day. Word to Arsene Wenger, you lot know me. I'm a football romantic, and I think Arsenal needs to get romantic again. You cannot play for Arsenal and give up no matter what the score is. Now, I'm not going to accuse any Arsenal footballer of giving up, but lately I've only seen a couple of protagonists. Throughout the course of last season and the majority of this year, I saw 11 players who wanted to make the difference. Now, in the last few games, I'm looking at the buck and the responsibility being passed around. And if I'm honest, it's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. The boys need to use this Dubai trip to get it together. The boys need to use this Dubai trip to get back on track. It goes without saying. And in relation to our sporting director, Edu, I don't know how you do it, but this team needs additions.
Now, Arsenal may never get our season back on track, folks. We might never. We might look in May and say December where it's won and lost. At the end of the day, it could be better. It could be worse. There are games we could have done better. We've done worse. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. We can only deal with the facts. We're fourth. We've got 39, 40 points. What we take from that is another thing. Again, a week is a long time in football. So if you could only imagine if there's been 19 and 20, you can imagine the roller coaster, better yet the emotional roller coaster that not just Arsenal fans, but football fans go on. It could be better. It could be worse. Count your blessing in that we're all in and around where we need to be. The FA Cup, I'm very disheartened about. I think that was a real opportunity of getting a trophy. That's our trophy. We've won that 14 times. The League Cup, I do think football fans, more so the top 6 fans, can be a bit snooty and look down on competitions and things. But at the end of the day, for the players, if you're in it, you might as well win it. When you're a young and hungry and ambitious team like Arsenal Football Club should be, we don't have a divine right to be throwing away trophies because we ain't won the Prem or the Champs. A footballing career is short. Anytime a squad can get trophies and get the appetite for winning trophies like a couple of them have, you want more. You look at the amount of active players in the Premier League that participate in the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Champions League year on, year out, and those who have historically played in these competitions, how many win it? At some point, I know Mikel Arteta is a relatively young manager. I know Edu is a young sporting director. I know a lot of our players are in their prime ages, but a lot of them are in their early to mid-20s. Their career is going to go like that. And it's going to be about what you won, what you lost, you know, the moments you create in the dressing room. And, you know, again, I do think footballers care, but it's very harsh, football fans, I feel, in that because they don't necessarily get 3 points. I'm not cutting excuses that we say they don't care. So for all of these boys that are living and breathing these moments together, again, football is a job. A lot of these players probably see their teammates and Mikel Arteta and the coaching staff and the people in and around the ground, then they see their wives, their girlfriends, their families, their dogs, etc., etc. So it's these moments that make it 100% worth it, if I'm completely honest with you. Get on with it. Pressure is a privilege. There's no divine right for Arsenal Football Club to be winning stuff ahead of other people. The Champions League, in my opinion, is a pipe dream. At best, I definitely hope we could win it, but it's a pipe dream. There's a lot of big dogs in there. I think we've got a lot of naiveties. I think the boys, and actually Mikel Arteta, the manager, when we've got to the latter stages of European competition under him, we've embarrassed ourselves or let ourselves down or been very naive across two legs. I think the Premier League is a pipe dream, better yet. So where are you at with the Champions League? But if you're in it, you might as well win it, really, or attempt to win it. And you never know what could happen in life. When you work hard, sometimes life gives you luck. What I would say with this Dubai trip for the players, now Mikel Arteta is the manager, etc., etc. But anyone who's been in any sort of dressing room in any sport, Sunday league to professional, you know the real dressing room and what really goes down and how really these players feel. Is when the manager's not in the room. Everyone's going to be on their best behavior in front of the manager. What people are really like, who really commands the dressing room, whose name really holds weight, which other players think are not doing their job. These discussions are had when Mikel Arteta isn't there. Now, obviously, they brought their family over to Dubai, but there's going to be a lot of bonding opportunities for the players, even silly things like they're just grabbing a drink or playing pool and things like that. Them in that sort of scenario, I demand every player hold themselves and their teammates accountable and have it out. Really, obviously Mikel Arteta will have a point to prove, but for the boys, get a piece of paper. In the points that are available in the Premier League and anything else we're participating in this season, what would be an ideal scenario? What is the target? What is our points tally that we want to say by the end of February? Because narratives can change. It's all ifs and buts. But if you beat Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and get something from Liverpool, anything from 7 to 9 points, the narrative changes quite a lot, people. So I ask these players to get it back together. They're going to have to salvage their season. The pain of discipline hurts a lot. But discipline hurts a lot less than regret, because we're going to look back in May and think of what we coulda, shoulda, woulda done. And you can't change things. Be disciplined in your performances. Psychologically, arrest whatever you boys need to arrest, because as much as I feel some of it is tactics, some of it is down to personnel, especially in the final third. And you all know on my channel how I feel about Arsenal's centre midfield options. A lot of it is psychological. The final third, like Pep Guardiola says, the final third of a football pitch, yes, there's tactics that play a part and structure, but it's about it's about talent. And whatever people say, these players might not be the bee's knees, and I definitely would like a striker to have a lack of scoring issues, have a lack of goals issues with Gabriel Jesus, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli, etc., 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 is unacceptable. You don't become good or bad players overnight. I don't think any of you are bad players, but that sixth sense, that linking play, that connectivity, that, not panicking in the final third or in front of goal, that final action, which is probably the worst thing, really, like shown against Liverpool, we're creating a lot, but whether we need to pass or shoot or it needs one more pass, that final action that ultimately puts the ball in the back of the net is deserting us. Some of it is clearly down to ability and personnel and the need for a cold-hearted killer. But even if we sign that striker that gets 20, 30 goals, their 20, 30 goals in isolation is not going to make us a team that gets 100-odd goals, like Mikel Arteta once said. So the other players need to pull it together. And Mikel Arteta, you've said yourself, it's your job to maximize these players. The players have to take accountability. But is Martinelli playing to his potential? As I said, there's certain things he will have to hold himself accountable. But why is Martinelli falling off a cliff? Why is Bukayo Saka falling off a cliff? Why isn't Gabriel Jesus scoring at least? I'm not asking him to be clinical, putting the ball in the back of the net. Why ain't the goals being spread amongst the team? Why does our midfield look a bit, it's a bit weird to say it looks disjointed, because I think Odegaard looks good. Declan Rice is Declan Rice and he's a quality player. Havertz, quote unquote, has settled, even though we have question marks, but there's something missing. And if I'm honest with you, William Saliba, Gabriel, and Declan Rice, I'm seeing them have to break the lines a lot more than players that are paid to do that, which is unacceptable. What is our points tally target in May? How do we salvage this season? At the end of the day, we've got 39 points. The players will have to do with that what they will. And again, going back to my point about the dressing room, anyone that's been in the Sunday league, man, them gossip more than gal, how the players really feel about their teammates and the different cliques in the dressing room and whose name holds a bit more weight than others. That is what you really see when Mikel Arteta and his coaching staff are not in the room, and it's just Odegaard, the captain, and the other 20-odd players, really. It's unacceptable what we're doing. It's really unacceptable. Again, count our blessings that it could be worse, it could be better, but they need to get it together, because again, we're not maximizing ourselves. If we've maximized ourselves every game and we've lost, we take it from there and we hold our L's. But we've been cheating ourselves, really, whether it's not defending to the high standards we set earlier in the season, whether it's putting the ball in the back of the net, whether it's looking to our teammates to make the difference, whether it's consistently winning our duels and individual battles. We have hit a block. Now, in life, any goal or anyone that's achieved anything or any team that's done great things, they've hit this. Pep Guardiola had it at Barcelona. Manchester City hit a blip every time across a season, and people say this, that, and the third, and then they hit back harder. The same is said about Real Madrid. The same is said of any Premier League team that's won anything. The Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Cities, the Manchester Uniteds, the Spurs. Now, I'm joking. They've never done it. But you get the point. We need to get on with it. Use this Dubai trip to just more so recharge mentally, forgive yourselves, and let's come back with a new mentality against Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, etc., etc. And that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button. And on that note, people, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out.
There's always that active red flag, defending.
I think it's like